Kingdom Chronicles, The Lost Scepter. It was a warm afternoon in the charming town of Willow Grove, where trees whispered gentle secrets and birds sang cheerful tunes. Frankie, an adventurous and curious soul with untamed hair and a knack for exploring the unknown, was rummaging through an old chest in their backyard shed. They had hoped to find something exciting, and they did. Toward the bottom of the dusty box, nestled among forgotten trinkets, was a seed that sparkled faintly, as though 1,000 tiny stars lived inside it. Frankie held it up to the sunlight, marveling at the warm glow. "What is this?" they whispered, a grin spreading across their face. Without hesitation, Frankie ran across the yard and dug a small hole, placing the seed gently into the ground before covering it. Curiosity bubbling inside, Frankie watered the spot and waited, hoping for something magical to happen. They didn't have to wait long. That very night, as the moon cast its silvery glow, the earth began to tremble ever so slightly. To Frankie's amazement, a fabulous beanstalk sprouted from the ground, twisting and turning as it grew, reaching higher and higher until it vanished into the clouds. Shaking with excitement, Frankie packed their trusty backpack with snacks, a flashlight, and a notebook. One thought raced through their mind: adventure awaits! Without telling a soul, they grabbed onto the sturdy green stem and began the climb into the unknown. After what seemed like an eternity of climbing, though Frankie's excitement made the time pass quickly, they pulled themselves up onto a soft, pillowy surface. "Whoa!" Frankie murmured, looking around in awe. They had entered a magical world above the clouds. The sky shimmered in every color imaginable. Castles of gleaming white floated gracefully in the distance. Rainbows arched gently between billowing cloud gardens, and breezes sang soft, cheerful tunes. Frankie's eyes widened as a cloud puff floated past, smiling and waving as though it were alive. "Welcome to the Cloud Kingdom," boomed a kind, regal voice from behind them. Spinning around, Frankie saw a towering figure, an older gentleman with a sparkling crown nestled above his silver curls. His robe seemed to shimmer like morning dew on spiderwebs. He held a staff, though he seemed to lean on it heavily for balance. "I am the Cloud King," he said with such warmth that Frankie's nerves eased immediately. Frankie gave a polite bow, something they had seen knights do in movies. "Hi, I'm Frankie. I climbed the beanstalk. This place is amazing." "Indeed," the Cloud King replied with a faint smile, though worry creased his brow. "But our kingdom is in great peril. These skies are not as peaceful as they seem." Frankie looked closer and noticed the unsettling tremor in the air. Clouds in the distance swirled angrily, lightning flickered every few moments, and rainbows appeared broken. The very harmony of the sky seemed off. "What happened?" Frankie asked, their voice tinged with concern. "The trouble began when my magical scepter was stolen during a terrible storm," the king explained, his expression turning grim. "Without it, the weather has spun out of balance. Sunshine comes when it shouldn't. Storms rage when it's time for calm. Our kingdom is slowly falling apart, and soon the chaos will reach the world below." Frankie felt a jolt of nerves and excitement. They had always dreamed of a real adventure, yet they had never imagined something as grand as this. "Is there any way I can help?" they asked, determination in their voice. "You are brave, young one," the Cloud King said, his eyes softening. "The scepter holds our kingdom together, but retrieving it is no simple task. It will require courage, wisdom, and great friendship. Fortunately, you won't be alone." Suddenly, a puff of something white and squishy bounced into view. "Hee!" said a rounded cloud creature with a big smile, waving enthusiastically. "I'm Nimbus. I'm, not the best at taking directions, but I'm super loyal and always ready for an adventure." A gentle breeze seemed to swirl around Frankie's ear like a whisper. And I am Sira, a wise wind, came a serene voice, as a ghostly but kind face formed in the swirling air. I specialize in riddles, maps, and secrets. We shall make a fine team. Frankie grinned. This was going to be the adventure of a lifetime. Let's get that scepter back! The trio set off from the Cloud King's palace, venturing into the heart of the unsettled kingdom. Nimbus bounced cheerfully alongside Frankie, occasionally tripping over rocks but always laughing it off. Sira guided them forward, her gentle breeze weaving through paths of sparkly mist. Their first clue came in the form of a torn piece of parchment fluttering down from the sky. Frankie caught it and read aloud, "Follow the rain that doesn't fall, to where the winds have stopped their call." "That must mean the Dry Storm Valley," Sira explained, her wispy form shimmering. "It's a place of silent, stormy clouds where no rain ever touches the ground." "Let's go!" Frankie said, marching forward despite a tiny flicker of worry in their chest. The journey through Dry Storm Valley was everything but quiet. Despite the absence of rain, dark clouds rumbled all around them, and mischievous storm sprites darted in and out of sight, cackling softly. Nimbus tried to shoo them away, but only ended up tripping over his fluffy feet, much to the sprites' delight. Frankie spotted a shimmering doorway made of light, but realized it was blocked by a swirling fog. "What do we do now?" Sira hovered closer and announced, "To pass, we must solve a riddle!" The voice of the doorway boomed. "I am not alive, yet I grow. I don't have lungs, yet I need air. I don't have a mouth, yet water kills me. What am I?" Frankie tapped their chin in thought. "I've got it!" they shouted after a moment's pause. "Fire!" The fog cleared instantly, and the group was free to continue. Nimbus bounced up and down, cheering, while Sira gently nodded in approval. As they traveled on, Frankie began to notice and appreciate their friend's strengths. Nimbus, though clumsy, was always enthusiastic and never gave up. Sira, while serious, always provided calm guidance when things seemed overwhelming. Together, they formed a team Frankie grew proud to lead. When Nimbus tripped and accidentally scared away a swarm of storm sprites, Frankie couldn't help but laugh. "See," they said, patting Nimbus on his fluffy head, "you're braver than you think." Though the challenges grew harder, Frankie's confidence blossomed, and so did the bond between the three unlikely friends. Eventually, the trio arrived at a towering spire of black clouds, its jagged edges crackling with lightning. Nimbus shivered. "This looks like trouble." Inside the spire, they found the storm sprites gathered in a circle, laughing as they tossed the magical scepter between them like an ordinary stick. "Wait!" Frankie shouted, stepping into the room. The sprites froze mid-toss, glaring at the intruders. "What do you want?" asked the largest sprite, its voice like the rumble of thunder. Frankie could see they weren't just mischievous, they were upset. "You stole the scepter," Frankie said calmly. "But why?" "Because the Cloud King banished us to the outer edges!" One sprite snarled. "He said we were too wild, but we're part of this kingdom too, so we took his precious scepter to teach him a lesson." Frankie paused, thinking carefully. "That's not fair," they said gently, stepping forward. "No one should be cast out, but stealing the scepter has hurt everyone, even the humans who live below the clouds." The sprites hesitated, muttering to each other. Frankie knelt down, pulling out their notebook. "What if we wrote a letter to the Cloud King together? You can tell him how you feel, and I'll make sure he listens." The largest sprite looked skeptical but intrigued. After a long pause, they handed Frankie the scepter. "If you promise he'll hear us, take it." Frankie and their friends hurried back to the Cloud King's palace, where he anxiously awaited their return. Smiling wide, Frankie handed him the scepter. The Cloud King raised it high, and with a rumble of magic, the skies began to heal. Sunshine glowed warmly, soft rain fell where it was needed, and the breezes hummed once more. The kingdom glistened with its former beauty. Frankie also presented the storm sprite's letter. The king read it carefully, nodding. "They will be given a place in our kingdom once again," he said with a kind smile. With harmony restored, it was time for Frankie to return home. They hugged Nimbus and thanked Syrah for her wisdom. The beanstalk shimmered in the distance. "Goodbye, Cloud Kingdom!" Frankie called, already missing their new friends. They climbed down the beanstalk, glowing with pride and wonder. Back in Willow Grove, as the beanstalk disappeared into the earth, Frankie held on to the memory of their adventure and the knowledge that they had saved both the skies above and the world below. This was only the beginning of their story. After all, Frankie was ready for whatever adventure waited next.